The ancient city of Istanbul, a historic crossroads of cultures and empires, was chosen as the setting for a momentous event, direct peace talks between Ukraine and Russia. The eyes of the world were on this meeting, hoping for a resolution to the grueling conflict that had gripped the region for years. A palpable sense of anticipation filled the air as delegations from both sides arrived at the neutral venue, a historic palace overlooking the Bosporus Strait. Journalists and diplomats alike speculated on the possibility of a breakthrough, clinging to the hope that dialogue could pave the path to peace. The air was thick with expectation as the delegations disappeared behind closed doors to begin their discussions. However, the initial optimism was short-lived. The talks, intended to be a significant step towards ending the years of hostility, concluded abruptly after less than 2 hours. The brevity of the meeting sent shockwaves through the international community, signaling that the path to peace was more fraught than many had hoped. The sudden collapse of the talks left a sense of disillusionment in its wake, a stark reminder of the deep divisions that continued to separate the two nations. In the aftermath of the aborted talks, Ukrainian officials were quick to voice their disappointment and frustration. Speaking on condition of anonymity, they attributed the breakdown to what they described as unacceptable demands from the Kremlin. At the heart of the impasse lay the issue of territorial concessions. Russia, they claimed, had insisted on the withdrawal of Ukrainian forces from key contested areas as a precondition for any further negotiations. This demand, deemed unreasonable and a non-starter by the Ukrainian side, proved to be an insurmountable obstacle. The Ukrainian delegation argued that such a withdrawal would be tantamount to surrendering sovereign territory and rewarding what they viewed as Russian aggression. They maintained their position that any peace agreement must be founded on the principles of territorial integrity and national sovereignty. The Ukrainian stance resonated with many in the international community who viewed Russia's demands as an attempt to dictate terms and legitimize their military actions. The talks, therefore, ended in a stalemate, with both sides seemingly entrenched in their positions and unwilling to compromise on what they considered to be core interests. The Istanbul peace talks were the culmination of over 3 months of intensive diplomatic efforts. These efforts were spearheaded by the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump, who had made the resolution of the Ukraine-Russia conflict a central plank of his foreign policy agenda. Having campaigned on a promise to swiftly bring an end to the protracted war, President Trump invested considerable political capital in brokering a peace deal. He engaged in numerous phone calls with both Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin, urging them to find common ground and end the bloodshed. The Trump administration, however, expressed growing frustration at the lack of progress. Following the abrupt collapse of the Istanbul talks, senior officials hinted at a potential shift in U.S. policy. They suggested that the administration might scale back its involvement in the peace process if concrete and substantial progress was not made soon. This shift in tone reflected the growing skepticism within the administration about the viability of a negotiated settlement, especially given the deep mistrust and seemingly irreconcilable positions of the two sides. One notable absence from the Istanbul peace talks was Russian President Vladimir Putin. While President Zelensky and other world leaders made the journey to participate in the negotiations, Putin chose not to attend. The Kremlin cited scheduling conflicts as the reason for his absence, but many observers interpreted it as a deliberate snub and a sign of Russia's lack of commitment to finding a peaceful resolution. Putin's absence raised questions about the true extent of Russia's willingness to engage in meaningful dialogue and cast a long shadow over the prospects for peace. The future of the peace process remains uncertain. While both Ukraine and Russia have publicly stated their commitment to finding a diplomatic solution, the deep divisions and mistrust that led to the breakdown of the Istanbul talks persist. The international community, while still hopeful for a peaceful resolution, is watching with bated breath, uncertain if and when the two sides will be able to bridge their differences and find a way out of the current impasse. The road to peace, it seems, remains a long and arduous one.